cut his poor little thing off.
Hey everybody, welcome back to the channel. A friend of mine recently gave me this big old bucket of happiness. Got some copper, some brass, some aluminum bronze, some aluminum, stainless, and some oil hardening tool steel. Now, I don't know about where you're from, but around here, somebody gives you some tool steel, you are obliged by law to make a cutting tool. A comment I get all the time goes a little something like, hey man, you got all this fancy grinding equipment, what are we supposed to do? So with that in mind, we've been playing around with D-bits lately, and I thought it would be a fun challenge to make a D-bit out of this tool steel using nothing but the lathe. When people get into hobby machining, a lathe is among the very first things they're going to buy, so it's quite common, and that would allow just about anybody to do this at home. First thing I need to do here is make a tool to hold my tool that I'm building in the lathe, and I'm going to carve a whole bunch of features into this thing. I'm not going to spend a lot of time explaining it as I go. I'm just going to kind of blast through this part, and the purpose of each feature will become clear when we actually get to making the tool. I'm cutting my piece to length in the bandsaw. Now you could just as easily do this with a hacksaw, angle grinder. I just haven't got all day, so I'm going to get through this. For the rest of these features, I'm going to need my 4-jaw chuck on here. So switching over to that now. I do want this running 0 this way. That's pretty good. Some people like to plan things out, do it from start to finish. Not me.
What'd you do?
Well, I kind of assumed this was 1/4 inch because I just threw my dial calipers at it and it said 1/4 inch-ish. Well, it turns out it's 3.5 thou over. I want a decent fit into my hole. It won't fit at all, of course, into my 1/4 inch hole. So I'm going to pull my 4-jaw back off, throw my 3-jaw in, and I'll actually have to do these now one end at a time, which will be fine for what we're doing here. I've got my bits turned down some. They're fitting in there now, so that's all good. Now I'm going to take this out of here. I have a whole bunch of other holes that need to go in different places. Now I need a hole that's offset in 2 different directions, and so I've got a shim over here and a shim over here. Should allow me to hold this still reasonably firmly and have the whole thing cocked, and I also need it cocked in the opposite direction. So here you can see with these shims, we have it cocked in this direction. And then with these shims, we have it cocked in that direction. So it's cocked in both directions 90 degrees apart. Because that face is so uneven, I am going to center drill so that the center drill mark is slightly bigger than the diameter of the drill bit I'm going to use. That way the drill will at least go in a straight line. I put a couple real light little scratches on directly in front of both of these high spots. That's going to help me later. So for this next hole in this end of this thing, I have it purposely offset, and I have it running out 20 thousandths of an inch in 180 degree rotation, and that's going to be important later. The hole is going to be parallel to the axis of this part, but it's going to be offset from center. This end actually would have been a little too crowded with that hole in there, so I've just got another piece of stock here, and I have it dialed the same way. It's running out 20 thou over 180 degrees. So I'm just going to face it up, center drill it, and then we'll drill this guy out. Just need a couple more holes that intersect with the holes I've already put in. So in other words, I need a hole drilled and tapped into here that lines up with this hole here. So I'm going to blast those holes in, thread them up, and then we're ready to start making this tool. And last hole. That's good. There's all of our tools made. I'm going to put the 3-jaw chuck back in and get to work. First off, we're going to put this flat or split the end like this. We're going to do that in this hole that runs this way. So I had a piece of paper between here and it just started getting tight, so I'm incredibly close, couple thou within touching. I've got a dial set up here so that when I reach the end, I can stop at the same place every time. That's how deep I want to travel in. I've got my compound turned to 90 degrees because I'm going to use its feed to get a nice consistent feed and an accurate dimension. Pretty sure I can hear it just touching now. Perfect. So we have to go 125 thou. We're about halfway down there now. That's coming along really nicely. I think this is going to work just fine. I'm just going to carry on, finish this up. There they are with the tooth faces on them. The reason I'm making 2 of these is I'm going to try different tempering methods. Well, I'm going to temper one and I'm not going to temper the other one. I'm going to see how that compares. Up next is this hole. This is the one you may recall we cocked off on an angle. What we're going to use this for is to put some clearance on the end in this direction and also some clearance on the end in this direction. Because this is a right-hand tool that I'm making, this corner here is going to be the cutting edge. And so no matter where I go from there, I want my dial to read minus. Kind of like that. Got some marker on there. What we're going to want to see is that we touch off at the furthest point from the cutting edge, and the very last thing to clean up should be the actual cutting edge. And once we have that established, no matter what we do to this end, we'll always have our cutting edge sticking out farther than any other part. So that's just about perfect. We're cleaning up over here first, and we're also getting cleaned up down here first. And this line should travel all the way across, and the last thing to clean up should be our cutting edge. So there's our first one all nice and cleaned up. I'm going to bring the second one up to the same stage. This is the last setup for this thing, and this is the hole that we put off center. And so now we're at our leading edge, or at our cutting edge, and you'll see the dials going plus, 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 and that represents the clearance that we're going to be putting on there.
Here's our cutting edge, and you can see this line is angled or tapered, and what that's showing us is it's the tool's cutting deeper as we come around to the back here. And what's super important, we need clearance right at the cutting edge. So if you really look right where this tapered line reaches the cutting edge, it stays angled the whole way. And that tells me that we have clearance immediately behind the cutting edge. Of course, we'll check that later before we try and take a cut with it. Aside from hardness, now this guy's done. So you can see we've got this angle here coming away from the cutting edge so that none of this backside is going to drag. Very hard to see here, but we also have a slight angle this way coming away from the leading edge. And then this tapered line here, again, that's our clearance. I'm actually going to adjust this. I'm not happy at how little it moves. And for example, when I give it this little bit of wiggle, I'd like to see more there. Kind of like what we see here. Same amount of wiggle, much more travel. So I'm going to adjust the position of that eccentric hole so that I get a more rapid clearance directly behind the cutting edge. I've got this painted up with marker now, and what I want to see is I want to see it cleaning up behind the cutting edge, and then watch that cleanup work its way towards the cutting edge. Now, because I'm more advanced in the rotation here, it's not probably going to clean up the back, but before I call this done, I'll take it out, I'll make it run true, and I'll make good and sure that the leading edge is the highest part of this whole sweep, and then we'll be okay. So let's see what happens. Just starting to touch. We actually seem to have cleaned up right to the cutting edge. So I'm going to play with that some more. I've got this where I'm happy now, so we're going to go ahead and harden these up. Nice and ripping hot.
I think we need to get our tables back in here.
Well, here we go. First test cut. In aluminum, 50 thou depth of cut. Let's see what happens.
cutting. Cutting pretty decent, actually.
Like butter.
Go another 50. So that definitely worked. I don't know if it worked great. It appears as though we've got some wear already, right down by the end on the corner. I'm going to put the one in now that we did not attempt to temper, and we'll see how this guy holds up. Another 50 thou, so 100 thou depth of cut altogether. Maybe seems to be working better than the one that was tempered. Let's have a look at it. Well, that actually seemed to stand up quite a bit better. I'm not seeing that same rounding down in this area that I was with the other one. It's possible there's a little chip on that corner. Should show up better through the camera than I can see it with my naked eyes. Definitely not perfect. Probably not ideal, but fun little experiment nonetheless. So it worked in aluminum, just. Let's see what happens on steel. Going a little easier here. I have a 25 thou depth of cut set, and let's see what happens. It does not seem happy. I see more dust than chips. We're kind of getting chips. A little bit. It really doesn't feel happy. Well, now we know. It's properly dead after that. Just completely shot. You know what's weird though? It's like the cutting edge isn't as bad, but the trailing edge is really bad. It's interesting. Anyways, now we know. I'd like to see how high-speed steel would stand up using the same methods to build it prior to heat treating. I don't have a lot of experience with the oil hardening tool steels, but I'm imagining they're not as good as a high-speed steel. Maybe that's something we'll try another time. Well, that's going to do it for today's video. Thanks for watching. Hope you all enjoyed. Huge thank you to our Patreon members. We'll see you guys in the next one.